Our next guest here tonight on Punky's MixTape is joining us all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. I'd like everybody to welcome to the show, the Tombtones.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Punky?
Doing good. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Absolutely appreciate it. Now, for my mixtapers that may not remember, we actually featured a good portion of your tunes back on our Halloween episode. But for those that may not be familiar, introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about the band.
Cool. Well, I'm Kyle Ransom King. I'll let the other guys go ahead and do their intros.
I'm Jesse, or Carl Sin. I'm the bass player for the band.
I'm Brent Cognito. I'm the drummer.
And we are the Tombtones, and I play and sing and all that stuff. We're kind of like a little bit of a mix mash of genres, a psychobilly horror punk kind of mash. There's a lot of other kind of rock and roll influences going on there. We've all been friends for 20 something years at least. And then a couple of years ago, I guess to give a little background on the band, like in 2016, I'd always kind of written goofy songs, but I started writing just a bunch of horror songs in a row, and I showed them to some of the guys, and I was like, I think we could kind of do something with this. They came to me actually one night. We were like having burgers, and they came to me and they were like, let's make like let's actually do this, because I was trying to record them on my own, and then we just sat down and like spent about a year workshopping our first set. Most of which became the first EP, or I guess we had two little demo EPs, but now we've had like our first like official EP. And then it's just kind of rolled from there. I mean, yeah.
That's awesome. Couple of friends having some beers, having some burgers, but a couple rough ideas out there, and you're like, fuck it. Let's do this. Let's run with it. Doing what you love. And it definitely shows. And I think that's like what first like instantly like attracted me to the band is, one, you can absolutely tell just how much fun that you're having, just from the first tracks. You can hear it in the music. Even before I saw any videos, you can just feel the excitement, and just fucking straight up rock and roll, punk rock, psychobilly, all of it mashed together, and to only be described as the Tombtones, honestly.
That's awesome. That makes me feel really good. Thank you.
Well, for someone like myself, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think what helps is that Kyle comes up with all these ideas, and like what he said, the first ones were, he was just like, hey guys, we're hanging out. Let me play a few of these little silly songs I've written. And, me and Brent looked at each other and said, well, these are actually not so silly. I mean, they are, but they'll probably be a lot of fun to play. And so, it was just, let's jam on these. It turned into a band. And I mean, that's how it's always kind of gone, is that, for me anyways, I really enjoy playing, and I like writing some stuff, but especially lyrical content, it's like there's a block between an idea and then my hand to get it on paper. So having someone like Kyle who's able to do all that for me.
It's funny you say that, because that was actually like for a long time. I mean, I wrote songs in college, but they were always like stupid stuff. Like I had one, which we should totally do. I had one that was about finding a laser gun from the future that I wrote like 10 years before.
You've been sitting on this
I've been sitting on it since college. Yes. And like, yeah. And it's, and like, but I would always like write that, and then I'd be like, oh man, this is such like crap. It's like garbage. Like, I can't, like, what am I going to do with these like dumb songs? And I'm like, I remember talking to Brent one time, and I was like, it's like there needs to be like a Weird Al of like horror stuff. And then we did like, and that's kind of when I really got serious about actually being like, okay, I'm going to open Google Docs, and like, I have these long work shifts where I'm working, but yes, no, I'm definitely working. But like, there's times where like I'll have time to have ideas, just like, it's not, like a job like where you're constantly
sitting waiting for a file to render.
Things can rattle around. You know what I'm saying? There's things can rattle around. Almost put myself on a stake there.
We're sending this to your boss.
I don't know who's watching this. But yeah, so then I just started spinning, like I would just open a Google Docs tab and just like write ideas out, and then spend like over the course of the next week or so, I'd be like humming it while I'm like mowing the yard or something. Be like, wow. I remember that Sixth Sense is like a perfect idea of that. Where, sorry, we totally derailed, and like I know you have questions.
Oh, you're fine.
Like started. I remember Sixth Sense was like a perfect idea of that. Because I was mowing and I got a Facebook message from you, and you said, "What if we did a song?" Jesse or Carl's the one I'm talking to, and he said, "What if we did a song about the Sixth Sense, like the movie?" And he was like, "And what if it was like not about seeing ghosts, but it was about something else?" I can't remember what it was, but it was like being able to like see like weird people or something. I can't remember.
Like that, like weirdos or like I can't remember what we had said.
Yeah, but he was like, "What if we did a Sixth Sense song?" And like I'm a big fan of the Cramps, where people got like Stay Sick and like all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, what if we did like Sick Sense? And then like immediately, as I'm like just sitting there pushing the lawnmower, which a lot of my best ideas happen, I think while I'm mowing for some reason.
Didn't you do a radio interview while mowing the lawn one time?
I stopped mowing.
Oh, okay.
I did. But yeah, I was out there with my like wireless headphones on, like, you know, trimming bushes and stuff. We're totally like, we don't have we have like a stage look, but we're definitely not the like face paint, like, like that's not us at all. I mean, it's, you get what you see.
No, that's some of my favorite things though, man, when we've had gigs where we are playing with a bunch of other horror bands. And so you'll have like 12 dudes in corpse paint and then us with like bow tie and suspenders, like total Buddy Holly look about us walking in. And if it's bands we haven't played with before, they would look at us like, are you at the right gig?
Yeah, the audience especially too.
Yeah.
The crowd will be like, who
Going over the mic with a sonic screwdriver, just making sure it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, you guys really bring in so many different elements that for me, more on the, I love punk rock with all my heart, but also sci-fi, horror, fantasy have all been like huge, look around me, huge motivating factors for my entire life, you know? And so when I find a band that like really puts that out there and is not afraid to let their geek flag fly high, it definitely like hits all the like receptors for me. And I think that's personally like what I like about a band. It's not so much like they're doing like a niche thing, as that they're just being themselves and doing what they know the most of. And I think that's what I definitely see within you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. We should be going after the geek crowd, guys. That's our,
well, I mean, you know,
our target audience.
You know,
write that one down real quick.
We were on track to do, you know, so in 2019, in the before times, you know,
long ago.
We got to play at Dragon Con 2019.
Dream convention right there for me.
Yeah, so that was a huge opportunity that we had, and it was funny. You know, we played on that Thursday night, like big stage show. Then we had a couple little smaller sets scattered throughout. But oh man, that was just the best weekend. It was like, oh, we get to play gigs and be at the best nerd convention there is. Like, yes.
Yeah, Dragon Con's no joke. Like, it really like runs with like San Diego and New York. Like, it's one what I would feel to be like some of the biggest and best, and especially for, you know, the Southeast convention circuit. Now, did you cosplay for the show?
For the first one, we were our usual look because we kind of wanted to bring the Tomb Tones as a like guest to the big stage show. For the other ones, I think me and Brent played. Jesse wasn't available Carl wasn't available one night, so we
did like an unplugged show
as Waldo,
and Oddlaw.
Yeah, his nemesis Oddlaw. And then the second night,
that was the Jaws night. That was my favorite. Yeah,
we were the crew from Jaws. I was Brody, and they were Quint and
Hooper.
Hooper, yeah, and
the best part,
My wife was our photographer, and she got like a shark onesie, and she was like running around, like circling the stage while we were playing. It was pretty
Did you
fun.
need a bigger stage?
We really
It was a
did
pretty tiny
need a
stage.
Yes, we
Couldn't
can
need
fit
a
on a
bigger
pretty
stage.
small one, but I felt like that one was about to fall out from under us. It's weird. We're not like in the full. We do dress up in terms of like putting on our like purple and greens, our stripes and stuff like that. I feel like the crowd tends to like have like a really like vibrant look to them. Maybe not necessarily full on cosplay, but yeah, there's definitely like a.
Our last, Halloween 2019 was that was fun.
Yeah, and then we played like a horror fest. We tend to get on like a lot of shows where there's like kind of like wild stuff going. We dressed in like beach outfits one time, which kind of inspired the look for the horror beach.
So the Halloween show, before kind of the world fell apart and nearly ended, what was the Halloween show like for you guys?
That was 2019. Is that the last Halloween we played?
Yeah.
We did a back-to-back night. We played at a bar called the Highlander on night one, and I had just gotten off work after like a 12-hour shift.
Yeah, that was
that one was wild. We played with the Screaming Demons and
Ghost Moths.
Ghost Moths. Yeah, and we had like
because I had to use my bass amp. I remember that.
yeah, and that was cool because we were still kind of a fresh face on the block, but like the Highlander is like a really cool bar, and they were then like I'd messaged them earlier that summer being like, do you have a Halloween show? And they said no. And so like even though we were relatively new, like we kind of got to do what we wanted for that one. We got to pick the other acts, and it was like that felt like our show. Like that felt like our Halloween party, and it was crazy.
Well, and we had bowls out, like we had like tip jars for the bands, and then next to it we had like candy bowls with like candy and like spider rings and like vampire teeth, glow sticks and stuff, and the crowd loved it. So yeah, we look out there. There's just people in all sorts of crazy costumes going wild. It was a fun.
Is that the one where you were a bee?
Yes.
Okay.
I dressed up as a bee.
Yeah, I was
For
a
no
hot
reason.
for that show. I remember that.
Yeah, and I was a skeleton guy. That was not a themed night. That was just like
No, the themed night.
Gonna go here.
The theme night was the one we
seriously,
did.
and then also
following-
Rick and I were there.
Where we did we did our theme was Satan.
with
and,
an asterisk.
Satan with an asterisk, because Kyle dressed up like full red face paint with horns and all this stuff. I went a different direction and did like slutty devil costume. And then Jesse clearly misread the email because he wore a full Santa costume. So that was
It was hot.
the pictures from that show are very interesting.
Yeah, Brent regrets that.
Oh,
They're out there on the internet forever now.
I look like that.
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck though, because that costume makes another appearance in Horror Beach.
That's true.
It does.
He says he regrets things and he'll do them again.
I never learn a goddamn thing. Okay.
oh, that's how
Sacrifices we make for our art. Come on.
So playing some fun shows and a good history. Obviously, that type of stuff, like it really goes far with bands. With fans. Excuse me, making new friends. That's obviously all of those elements like truly caught my attention. And then you guys put out, as you said, you had a couple EPs and then kind of like your next bit forward. Tell us about the latest tracks that you put out.
Okay, Pumpkin Guts is our most recent EP.
Love the title, by the way.
Thank you. Our first official EP, I guess you could say. That one we worked on for a long time. We kind of started working on that back in
That was summer of 2019 when we.
Yeah, we started laying drums really early, and then like we kind of DIY everything as much as we can, at least. So we tracked drums at our friend's house, who he's upgraded it to like basically a full studio. But at the time,
Which I want to plug. It's Studio 2219 here in Snellville, Georgia.
Snellville, Georgia. Yep.
Well, Facebook.
Yep.
Good plug.
Yeah, he's been great to us, Patrick Egan, and so we tracked drums over there, and we kind of like recorded some tracks, some like guitar and bass tracks, and like we did vocals there that day. Some of which we kept, but like it was just kind of a learning process. And we all have somewhat of a recording background. I know like in high school I did like a lot of MIDI tracking, and then I think Brent, I know you went to school for music.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Jesse did. You as well
I have 2 BMs.
in music production?
No, one's in music education and the other is in bassoon performance.
Okay.
So, ladies,
Sexy. But yeah, so then we'd already had our songs written and workshop from all the shows we'd been playing and everything. So we just kind of picked the best of the bunch. Except for Dracula's Brother was one that we kind of did for a compilation that ended up working its way. Have you listened to the whole EP?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Dracula's Brother was one that we did a little bit later, and that was kind of one that we did make during COVID. Then the rest of it was, we kind of tracked everything. Then COVID hit, and we kind of started tracking everything. Just like I did my guitar parts, literally sitting where I am right now, with an interface, and then Jesse did his stuff. He came over like once or twice to like help me craft the sound.
yeah, because we had started with 6 Cents, and like you said, we did everything that one day. Like we just wanted to do one demo. How is this going to work? And the drums ended up sounding great. I mean, we kept the drums. And some of the like background vocal stuff, but the vocals and especially the guitar just didn't quite work out from that day. So yeah, ended up, I came over to Kyle's and we sat in his room and just like, okay, let's go through and through and through and see how this is going to sound. We'll, put the mic here, change this, do that. And eventually, I mean, we ended up getting some sounds that we were both really, really happy with. And I mean, you hear how it sounds on the EP.
Vocals
like,
I also did just standing here. Like I just put a mic stand like literally like right there,
right.
And just sang into the corner. And I put up sound paneling and stuff, but like it was crazy how homemade the thing was, but then it ended up feeling, I feel like it sounds pretty good doesn't sound like a closet demo or anything.
No, it doesn't. And actually, I was going to say, it sounds like much cleaner than a lot of people's, like even some studio albums that I've heard. Like it's an awesome DIT, do it together effort.
And that's a lot of that goes to Carl, who did all the mixing at his little workstation where he's sitting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after we had done all the, record everything at home, get all the tracks together, then Kyle would come over, we would kind of make notes and stuff I need to do. And then he would come over for, a session just one evening, and we'd go through and either, fix whatever, timing he wants to hear different, or, oh, this is too much for my ears. So, I've been doing like, home recording for my own sake for a while, but all that stuff that I make is just how I want to hear and what I want to listen to. And if other people like it, that's great. So in this process, it was like essential for me to have another set of ears and another set of ideas of how it should go, especially being from the one that's like, well, this is where the idea came from. So you kind of know what you want it to sound like. Let me help you get that.
Yeah. Well, it's also, and then I like there was a lot of that where it would be kind of things that I had envisioned. You would sometimes have, I think we played really well as far as being able to both like kind of buffer each other's ideas, but also take like, hey, that little thing that you did there, what if we like made that its own thing? And like, bring up the stuff that the other person doesn't necessarily feel as confident about, but then the other stuff that like, it's just a group crafting
a good collaborative process. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was kind of one of the, it was a bit of a silver lining with the whole COVID situation and stuff. We started on the album in 2019, and part of what kind of took so long was we focused really heavy on gigging and just building our fan base and stuff. And so it kind of took a back burner. Well, then when, for the last year, shows haven't been happening. So it was like, okay, cool. Like, let's focus. So I feel like we felt like we had more flexibility to experiment and stuff, because it wasn't like, oh, well, we're neglecting shows by focusing on this. It was like, what the hell else are we going to do?
And then we came part for figuring out, how are we going to get this mastered? I network a lot on Facebook, so I happened to be friends with Renee De La Muerte from The Brains. And I sent him a message, and I was just like, hey man, you do remote mastering, right? Because he runs Back Cave Records with Dusty from Stellar Corpses. And like, to me, that's like legendary in terms of like psychobilly and like, I like huge influences. And then Back Cave Records. Yeah. And so like I just messaged him. I was like, maybe we could just like get him to do this little 7-song EP. And he was like, yeah, sure, send it when it's ready. And I sent it. And then like the next day he's like, yeah, I'm listening. This is really cool, man. I like it. And so then we went ahead and released it on our with the schedule that we'd originally planned. But then we released the Monster movie video, and I sent it to him, and he was like, dude, this is really cool. Like, I really, we want you guys. And then we worked out the rest, and then all of a sudden, like, we kind of retroactively released the, whereas it had been like a fully independent thing first. And Batcave is still kind of like, they focus on independent artists, but then it just became this, now we've got this extra kind of set of people that are helping push this idea. And that lets us know that we're doing something right, I think, too. That helps to know that these people that we look up to and that are professionals that we respect are saying, you're doing the right thing, and we want to help you. And that feels really good too.
Yeah.
And that's huge to have that, like, just push that motivating force behind you, be able to explore different, options and avenues that, the three of you might not have thought of before, which is awesome to get any type of representation. And you kind of dropped when you were a little ball in there, but I wanted to explore before we take a little break is you're talking about some of the music videos that you guys had put together to go with the EP.
Yes. So the first one we did was Monster Movie. And that we filmed in October, and it came out in early November. But we set up in our garage. We just put up and my wife filmed it with her Fuji little like point and shoot camera. Did a brilliant job. And she runs all her stuff through through Jaw Dropper Studios. We kind of do that together. We set up the band, kind of filmed a lot of angles of us playing.
It was a learning process. So
yeah, it was definitely a learning process. And I the one thing I knew I wanted to do was have the verse feel more like a kind of 50s Buddy Holly feel, and then have the chorus. I kept saying I wanted to feel like a Goosebumps book or like the Goosebumps TV show. And so like that's why you see that divide between the like purple with the like spiral behind it, and then during the chorus there's that like green slime effect, and there's I'm like I don't have glasses on anymore. I'm a little more modern looking, and the guys turn into monsters, which is also like a big part of the being trapped in a monster movie. But that one was really fun. Learned a lot. I edited that one myself. I learned a lot on the editing process on that one. And then Horror Beach was the one we just did. We filmed that over Christmas break, I think, or maybe late last year.
Something like that.
That one was crazy because we shot, like I bought some beach backdrops because, Batcave said, hey, we want to do a video for Horror Beach, which I think we had originally thought, we'll do a video for Horror Beach like when COVID is over and when we can have,
an actual beach party.
50 people go, like we can just say, hey, we're going to like St. Simon's Island, like everybody like drive out and bring a Halloween costume, and we'll just film a crazy like concert video. Like, but then Batcave said, we'd like to do this. Sorry for my dog bark.
Oh, never apologize for dogs.
They were like, we'd like to do a video for Horror Beach, and we were like, how are we gonna do that? And so we ended up just buying a beach backdrop, doing it very similar to Monster Movie, but also a little bit different. We took a lot of what we'd learned. And then the fun part was like, we filmed the band performances, and then about halfway through the day, we said, all right, we got to have some other like denizens of Horror Beach. And so we just we probably changed costumes. Like, I would say
we had like 3 Rubbermaid totes full of costumes.
It was probably like 40 or 50 different like characters over the course of like an hour. But then it also looked very like just us in like kind of random costumes. So then we immediately were like, okay, well, we've got to get the Swamp Girls. We've got to get we didn't have Frankenstein's monster. There was another one or two that we were like, man, these would be really key moments that we don't have. So we hit up. So my wife, her best friend is a local cosplayer and artist of her own kind of following. And so we hit her up, and she in 2 days came up with like 10 different like looks almost for like different kind of That's why, and you haven't seen it yet.
Not yet. We're gonna watch it tonight. I'm stoked.
There's a vampire. There's like Frankenstein's monster. There's
skeleton monster.
Swamp girls, skeletons. I mean, she took a lot of the like big like moments. Like we had a bunch of like stupid fun costumes, but she managed to come up with like she immediately immediately messaged me and was just like, all right, what are the like lines of this song? I'm listening to it and I need to know like and she was like, I was just amazed at the like professionalism she brought to that. Sorry, I've been like rambling for like 10 minutes here.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm just like,
I love this type of behind the scenes stuff, man. I thrive on it.
Once it starts, it doesn't stop. But yeah, so then she brought all that stuff. It was great. She did an amazing job. And then we filmed the three of them, and Melissa, my wife, is in the video too, as is Brent's girlfriend Nikki, who they all came up with really cool looks, and it brought just a whole vibe to it that I think made it a lot of fun. So definitely one of the most fun thing as far as like filmmaking that I've ever done myself.
That's awesome. Anything anybody else wants to add to that?
No, I mean, I agree. It was a super fun day. After we did all the performance things, we literally set the camera up on a tripod. And we're like, okay, it's rolling. We put the song on loop so that we would all be, in beat or whatever. And then it was literally like, okay, change costume, come out, dance in front of the camera, doing some stupid shit for 30 seconds. Okay, cool. Let's go get another one. And we did that for like an hour. And it got weird. Kyle says he's been making a like behind the scenes gag reel video to like put out at some point, and I'm scared, frankly, of what it's gonna look like.
I gotta see that.
It'll get there. I've had to kind of step back from editing for a minute because work has gotten crazy, but yeah, it'll get there.
Well, that's awesome. We're excited. We're gonna check out a couple of videos tonight. We're gonna check out a couple tracks. Before we part ways, where can we find your music online?
Well, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, and all the major services. Probably the easiest way to find it is either just search for The Tomb Tones, 3 words. You can also just go to thetombtones.com/music, and I've got a link tree to all our services there. But also, please follow us on like Facebook and Insta. Those are the 2 big services we've got. If you look us up on Facebook or Instagram, or just Batcave also has a little kind of like side section for us where you can get things like this for each hat.
So yeah, definitely Batcave. All of our exclusive merch goes on there.
And then later on, you're going to be the next band to run the gauntlet known as MixTape Malarkey. How are you feeling about that?
Ooh, I'm down for some malarkey.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
All right.
But Mixtapers, hold tight. We're going to be back hanging out more a little bit later in the episode with the Tomb Tones.